When we come with that heat, we got skip on the.
Public Fades, NFL Week 12 now. Best bets here on Million Dollar Minds Entertainment, Million Dollar Radio, all of the above. We're here. We're back once again. Ladies and gentlemen, I made a big deal about the second half of the NFL season a couple weeks ago. Once we broke into the second half, I was saying, 25-12 in the first half of the NFL season. We're going to do better here in the second half. Coming down the stretch, playoffs on the line for many teams. I don't know if anybody's been eliminated just yet, but we're getting to that time where teams are about to start getting eliminated week by week from playoff contention. And I made a big deal about breaking into that second half. We're now 2 weeks into the second half of the NFL season, and we've gone negative both weeks. 1-2 in week 10, 1-2 in week 11, 2-4 here in the second half of the season. We didn't have a losing weekend at all in the first half. There were 2 weekends where we broke even. Now there's 2 weekends where we've gone negative. Looking to go positive for the first time here in the second half of the season. 27-16 overall. We're 25-12 now. 27-16, not looking great. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going against the grain this week. I guess technically we do that every week. Public fades. We fade the public. Whenever one team has a whole lot of money on them, we go the other way as long as we like the matchup, and we fade the public. Well, last week I introduced the public fades ban list that included Green Bay and Cincinnati, meaning if the model fits Green Bay or Cincinnati, we're not taking it because we don't trust those teams. Green Bay's my team. I vowed to never bet on them again. And I'm sticking to that. But I also introduced the Public Fades no fade list, which means if a lot of the money is on these teams, then we're staying away from their opponents. We're not fading these teams. That included Philadelphia, Detroit, Baltimore, Seattle. We got a gross slate this week. It is very, very gross, and I'm going to tell you the picks are even grosser. We're looking to go 0-3 this week. I said it. We're looking to go 0-3 this week. We're going to ride this losing streak as long as we can, okay? We're going to be betting these gross games until they start going in our favor. So I'm letting you know that right now. This slate is gross. The picks are even worse. And we're going back on that no fade list. Got a couple honorable mentions that I will tell you just because one's against Cincinnati. We're not riding with Cincinnati. And then one's against the Lions. Don't really trust the Giants on the road, but we'll get to that here in just a little bit. But 2 of those teams we put on the no fade list last week, we're fading this week. Just because. Just because I'm pissed off. Okay. I'm just letting you know that right now. But before we get to the Week 12 slate, let's go over last week. What happened? We had 2 losses, 1 win. Starting off Thursday Night Football, we had the Jets plus 12.5 at New England. And if it wasn't for a Justin Fields fumble on the first play of the drive there in the fourth quarter, backed up in their own territory, that would have covered. At that point, it was 24-14. The Jets had a chance to drive late, maybe put some more points on the board. They were still within the 12.5. And what happens? Justin Fields fumbles, gives New England the ball, and they didn't really have to do much with it. They just kicked a field goal to make it 27-14. And that was the final score. We lost by half a point. We took the Jets plus 12.5. It was there. It was there. Until it wasn't. The Jets continually shot themselves in the foot all game. Adonai Mitchell had 1 catch on the first drive that led to a touchdown drive and for the Jets. And then 5 drops the rest of the game. He didn't have another catch. And at least 2 of those were on big third down conversions where he dropped the ball. Jets ended up punting. I mean, what can you do? what can you do? You can just try to be better, I guess. So we lost on Thursday Night Football. That was our first Thursday Night Football loss of the whole season. That kind of tells you where we're at right now. But then on Sunday in the 4 o'clock slate, we took the Broncos plus 3.5 against the Chiefs in Denver. I just felt like the Chiefs, they can be got. This is a year where they can be got. They've won their division 9 years in a row. The Broncos were already 2 games ahead of Kansas City in the AFC West. Kansas City still the third team overall, favorites to win the Super Bowl. So I'm not really sure how that is possible, but I mean, the Chiefs are the Chiefs. They can still squeeze into the playoffs, and nobody's going to want to play them when that happens, although they're going to be on the road all of the playoffs if they do make it at this point. But it was the Broncos plus 3.5. I thought that Denver was going to win that game at home, which they did on a game-winning field goal, 22-19. So that was a win. That was a win. We should have been 2-0 at that point, but we were not going to go undefeated with our play on Monday Night Football. We took the Raiders plus 3.5 against Dallas. I said my one worry in that whole game was them playing for their fallen teammate Marshawn Nealon, which it looked like they did. The Raiders seemingly didn't have a chance in that whole game. I also said Ashton Genty touchdown. Geno Smith, no interception. It was 17-6, and Geno Smith threw an interception, and that was like the last chance the Raiders had to keep it close. Dallas ended up running up the score pretty much 33-16 over Las Vegas in Las Vegas. So Allegiant Stadium did not bring much of a home field advantage for the Raiders, which is hard to do for any team against the Cowboys because they have fans everywhere and travel very well. But like I said, 27-16 overall, 1-2 last week, 2-4 over the last 2 weeks. So let's get into the slate. We're looking to go 0-3 this week. Got a couple honorable mentions. Maybe they hit, but fade me, basically. Ride with the public this week is what I'm saying. So these plays are still going to count for the record. I don't like them. I don't like them. I mean, we're getting to that point where this was kind of really the last couple weeks have been games that I've just been trying to find games to fit the model because they don't really, water is finding its level here as we're midway through the season into the second half. But honorable mention, we got the Patriots at the Bengals, 1 o'clock, 86% of the money, 73% of the bets are on New England. Joe Burrow's back at practice. I'm not sure if he's going to be playing this week, but you can look for him to start entering that starting lineup again for Cincinnati here soon. So maybe Cincinnati works their way off the public fades ban list, but just want to let you know that game does fit the model. I'm not taking it. That would be Cincinnati plus 6.5 if you want to take that. We're also looking at the Giants at the Lions, minus 12.5 for Detroit at 1 o'clock. 91% of the money, 77% of the bets are on Detroit. The Giants played the Packers pretty well last week, lost 27-20 at home. Very windy game, a game that they had a chance to tie it late, and just miscommunication with Jameis Winston and Vol for Life Jalen Hyatt there at the end. I just don't trust them on the road. Maybe if they had Jackson Dart playing, I don't think the line would be 12.5 if Dart was playing, but just them on the road, I don't trust that. We're staying away from the Lions. It would be Giants plus 12.5. I ain't taking it. So 2 honorable mentions for you as we break into the Week 12 slate. Gross slate. I've said it. I'm going to say it again. It's very gross. The plays are even worse. Okay. So fade me if you want. I'm fading the public. We're going to see what happens. Okay. We're going to see what happens. Jets at the Ravens. Minus 13.5 for Baltimore at 1 o'clock. 81% of the money, 67% of the bets are on Baltimore. The Jets let us down last week at New England. Justin Fields fumbled. They're late in the game. Still within reach. Justin Fields is benched. Tyrod Taylor's coming in at quarterback for the Jets. Taylor is 29-29-1 as a starter overall. He played for Buffalo. He played for the Giants. He played for the Houston Texans. Buffalo was his best stop, I guess you could say. He had a winning record with the Bills, but other than that, not too great with the Giants, which, I mean, who is great with the Giants at quarterback? Not really anybody. Houston struggled a little bit. Didn't play a whole lot of games with Houston. But Tyrod Taylor in at quarterback for the Jets. New York is 2-8 straight up, 5-5 against the spread. So a lot of these games they're losing, they're keeping close. Baltimore is 5-5 straight up and against the spread. So the games they're winning, they're covering. So that's one way to look at it. Breece Hall, Adonai Mitchell on offense. I don't expect Mitchell to have 5 drops again. Breece Hall he's still up there as one of the best running backs, although his production hasn't been that outstanding this year. But I think these are so many points. 13.5 might be a common theme this week, just a little foreshadowing. But we're getting gross. We're taking the Jets plus 13.5. And we're going to hope for the best. Then also at 1 o'clock, we got the Seahawks at the Titans. Seattle minus 13.5. 88% of the money, 77% of the bets are on Seattle. They are 7-3 straight up, 8-2 against the spread. So they were winning and covering those games until they lost last week against the Rams. They were underdogs of 2.5 points. They lost by 2. So still ended up covering that game. The Titans, 1-9 straight up, but 4-6 against the spread. They've covered a couple games pretty close at home. Won against the Chargers a few weeks ago, and then Houston last week. Houston won on a game-winning field goal. I think that line was 6.5 or so, I'm wanting to say. Seattle's coming off a tough loss to the Rams where they did cover that 2.5 points. The Titans' only win this season was a comeback at Arizona, and what a comeback it was. They've also had a few other close games. Cam Ward showing some promise. He's playing with a bunch of guys that didn't get a whole lot of reps in the offseason and training camp, but hopefully he doesn't give up 2 scooping scores like we saw when we took the Cardinals in Seattle a couple weeks ago. But we're taking the Titans at home plus 13.5. And there's just a lot of points on the board this week. And so we're going to take those points and hope for the best, pretty much. But the third game and final play of the weekend, 4:30, Falcons at Saints. The Saints minus 1.5 point favorites. Pick 'em favorites for New Orleans. 60% of the money is on New Orleans. 62% of the bets are on Atlanta. So what does that tell us? A lot of money came in on New Orleans when this line opened up. The line has not moved. A bunch of money came in on New Orleans. It was decided that Kirk Cousins will come in as a starter for the Falcons. We all know Kirko Chains can have a game here and there. Atlanta is 3-7 straight up, including a 5-game losing streak. 4-6 against the spread for the Falcons. New Orleans 2-8 straight up, 3-7 against the spread. Like I said, Michael Penix out for the season. They lost in overtime last week against the Panthers, who are a really good team. Although the Saints beat the Panthers a couple weeks ago, 17-7, then had a bye week last week for New Orleans. Kirko Chains getting the start. Overall, I think Atlanta is the better team. I think the wrong team is favored in this one. They still got way too many weapons for the Saints. Bijan Robinson, Darnell Mooney, Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts game coming up with Kirko Chains at quarterback. You never know. You never know. We're going to take the Falcons plus 1.5 at 4:30 here on Public Fades. So like I said, a gross slate with some gross picks this week. We're looking to go 0-3. Maybe that's what I should try to do. Maybe I should try to go negative. So then whenever those don't work, then, we're going positive and it looks better for us, I guess you could say. Yeah. At some point, we're going to get back in the winning column. I think it might happen this week. There are a lot of points that we're working with. We're taking the Jets plus 13.5 at Baltimore. We're taking the Titans plus 13.5 at home versus the Seahawks. Two good defenses. Two really good defenses. People don't realize the Titans defense is one of the best in the league. Seattle's is also one of the best in the league. And we saw last night, Thursday Night Football, the best defense in the league, Houston Texans, end up shutting down Josh Allen, sacked him 8 times, I think it was, which is the most he's ever been sacked before. Threw a couple interceptions, no touchdowns for Josh Allen. So after that, 60 to 70 point fantasy week he had last week, I think he had like 15 last night. So yeah, defense. If you give me the best defense versus the best offense, I'm going to take the defense 9 times out of 10. We got a couple good defenses this week, Seattle and Tennessee. So maybe that's an under game if you want to look at that as well. But also Falcons plus 1.5 at New Orleans. So there you have it. Public fades, NFL Week 12 best bets. Always remember, don't bet your house. We're looking to go 0-3 this week. So, yeah. 0-3. That doesn't sound too bad, right? Watch this be the first week since week 1 where we go undefeated 3-0. Jets plus 13.5 at Baltimore. Titans plus 13.5 versus Seattle. Falcons plus 1.5 at New Orleans. Couple honorable mentions if you want to play those as well. I'm staying away from them. But yeah, don't bet your house. Fade the public or ride with the public this week if you want to. Let's see how that works out. We're going 0-3 this week. I'm letting you know that right now. 0-3. We're trying. We're going for it. Maybe that'll be if I try to go 0-3, maybe that'll be a winning week for us here on Public Fades. But I'm being facetious. I'm still taking these plays. And if you want to, ride with Public Fades as we enter week 12 of the NFL slate. So always remember, follow us on TikTok, Instagram, all that at MD Minds. Hit the subscribe button below. Comment. What plays are you taking? What games did I miss? What do you think should be on the slate this week if you're looking for something to put some money on and win some coin? But yeah, that'll do it. You have the plays. Do what you want with them. As always, don't bet your house. And win or lose, we'll be back next week looking to fade the public once again. So as always, remember, bet responsibly. And yeah, I don't really have much to say about this slate this week, but we're gonna see what happens. So yeah, and as always, we'll see you next time.